Good morning, everybody. My name's Matthew Trinker, and I'm the chair of Blue Shield Australia. I'm sorry I can't be there in person with you all today, but I am grateful to Peter Stone, Emma Cunliffe, and all our Romanian colleagues who've made this conference happen. And I'm speaking to you today from Canberra, Australia. And as always, when we speak at such a forum, I want to take this opportunity to acknowledge the First Peoples of this place, the Ngunnawal, Noonawal, Ngambri peoples, and to thank them for the continuing welcome I receive here on their lands. Blue Shield Australia is the national committee of our global organisation. It was established in this country in 2005 with the aim of raising awareness of the value of Australian cultural heritage and the need for its protection against threats of all kinds. Blue Shield Australia was established by four peak industry organisations that serve as our pillar bodies: the Australian Society of Archivists, ICOM Australia, Australia ICOMOS, and the Australian Library and Information Association. And we include four other affiliate member organisations: the Australian Institute for the Conservation of Cultural Heritage, the Australian Museums and Galleries Association, the Federation of Australian History Societies, and the Pacific Regional Branch of the International Council on Archives. Australia is a vast island continent, home to the oldest continuous living cultures anywhere in the world, those of the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Their communities have been here for more than 60,000 years. Australia is also home to peoples from around the world who've come to these shores since 1788. And as a result, more than 200 languages are spoken by people here. It's all made for a remarkably diverse cultural heritage. And we have heritage sites and collections and a vast compendium of intangible cultural heritage right across this continent. However, increasingly, this heritage is threatened by natural disasters caused by the world's changing climate. In the past 5 years, Australia has dealt with the effects of bushfires, hailstorms, floods, and indeed the COVID-19 pandemic, which affected us all. While Australia's been fortunate not to have experienced armed conflict at home, it has been involved, sadly, in conflicts abroad, which many of you have suffered in your homelands. You can see here some of the images of impacts from fire and flood that we've experienced in recent decades. And while there's much that we've done to safeguard our heritage in such times, much more still lies ahead for us to do. In particular, Blue Shield Australia continues to lobby the Australian government for ratification of the Hague Convention protocols, to liaise with armed forces regarding their responsibilities to safeguard heritage, and to work with emergency management authorities and indeed first responders to raise awareness of the needs of cultural heritage in times of natural and man-made disasters. We also do a lot of work to encourage heritage organisations to be better prepared and to have plans in place to deal with threats as they arise. Each year, Blue Shield Australia undertakes programs aimed at delivering on these responsibilities. We produce a calendar for heritage organisations that really guides them in planning adequately for crises, and we hold webinars on the International Day of Disaster Risk Reduction to raise awareness of critical issues. In just the past few months, we've met with the head of the new National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to advocate for cultural heritage provisions in the Sendai framework to be acted upon at a national level. We've also met with the head of the federal government's arts portfolio to really argue for ratification of the Hague Convention protocols, which is an ongoing effort that has spanned many, many years. And just last week, National Committee members celebrated the 70th anniversary of the Hague Convention by attending the Australian Disaster Resilience Institute conference in Sydney. You can see some images of the stall that we manned here before you now. And on October 14, we'll hold a webinar exploring issues in cultural heritage protection with colleagues from the Australian Institute for the Conservation of Cultural Heritage. I want to thank you all for your attention during this brief overview of the work of Blue Shield Australia. And I really do wish you all the very best for the conference that lies ahead. You see on the screen before you now contact details for our organisation. Please drop me a line if you're inclined to. And I do hope that we'll have the opportunity of meeting in person very soon in the future. Thanks again, and all the very best for today's proceedings.